So defining culture is difficult, but the question remains, does culture affect development and social welfare? So yes, defining culture is difficult, and then of course defining development is also difficult. Previously, defining development was easy because we thought that more economic growth and more production and more consumption was economic growth, was economic development. But as we see in later module on green policy or green social policy, this is not so now. So how culture affects the development or social welfare? Culture affects the role of women in the community. So if you look at the different cultures, the role of women in each culture is different. So if you look at the KP culture or Punjabi culture or Sindhi culture, or then you compare it with, for example, the European culture, Scandinavian culture or Italian culture, the role of women is different. Then culture also tells us which communities or groups are entitled to social welfare. So they should be given money by the government and protected by it. And who are the moochers or parasites? So children are usually considered entitled to social welfare. Old people are considered entitled. Disabled. Previously, it was the responsibility of the family, but now gradually this is changing. Poor people, previously it was not, they were not considered entitled to anything, but now the situation is gradually changing, and in advanced countries, poor people are given help. Drug addicts. So are drug addicts parasites or should they be provided homes where they can do with their addiction? So these are the different ideas or questions which cultures helps us answer. Cultures also accept the acceptance of rule of law. So in some cultures, rule of law is accepted, in others it's not. Cultures also affects our values related to education and hygiene. So hygiene, as you can see, in different countries, there are different views about hygiene. What is hygiene and what is not hygiene? Similar is the case of education. Culture also affects the relationships, type of relationship with you have with your family, with your extended family, with your loved ones, with your friends, the number of children you have, your relationship with your children. So in Western countries, any child who is living with his or her parents after 18 years of age is not considered mature enough. So, which is not the case in Pakistan or in most developing countries. Culture also affects how ambitious we are. So culture also affects how the groups we identify with. So are we consider our primary identity as Pakistani or Muslim or Pakhtun, as Bacha Khan said many years ago, that I have been Pakistani for 50 years of my life, and I have been Muslim for a few generations, but I have been Pakhtun for 1,000 years or something like that. So there are three different identities. Your culture will tell you where you fit in. So then the question is, of course, do rich and poor have different cultures? And then what is the true Pakistani culture? So we think about that culture tells us about the rule of law. Does our culture change when we enter the toll plaza of the motorway? We become more, we put on our seat belts and take care of the changing of lanes and all that. So we start accepting the rule of law on the motorway. And then when we exit the motorway, we again come back to our own self. So is this a different culture or is the same culture? So culture is not a very useful explanation for understanding development or social welfare policy. It's very confusing. Thank you.